Viewers, as you sit there looking at your devices, hopefully as befuddled and perturbed as you can possibly be, I want you to listen to me. All right? I want you to actually pay attention and digest this time, because I am leaving YouTube forever in 3 weeks. And before I do, I have a lot of things that I want to get off my chest. I don't hate you, viewer, okay? I hope you didn't get too much of the wrong idea from that thumbnail and title, even though I clearly wanted you to, so you would click on this. I actually like you a fair bit, or at least a fair bit more than a lot of the people up above me. But what I do hate is this idea that you're right. The same incessant, insipid, insane idea that has followed me through every job I have had so far in my life, that the customer is always right, that we should always be thinking about what we can best do to serve you as a viewer and make content you will enjoy, because whatever your opinion is, that's what we should be reflecting. We should be doing that so that you'll engage more and that you'll enjoy more and keep going and going and going and going and feeding the algorithm so that we get to benefit from that, because obviously it's a community site and we got to build up a community of our own, right? So the viewer has to always be right, just like the customer in any normal industry, which is honestly just fucking offensive to me. Because for as much as I might agree with or enjoy discussing things in general with you guys, you're not right. I'm right. I'm the only person who's right about my content. I'm the only person who's ever been right about my content, because I'm the one who makes it. Okay? We want to talk all the time about, like, oh, it's an artistic expression of yourself to be making YouTube videos. It's as much of an art form as any art form we want to comment on as YouTubers. And yet we're continuously made to bend over and bend straight on to the whims of whoever is watching for whatever reason. Doesn't matter what it is, just go with it. Just tell those people to like, comment, subscribe, put the thing they want to see in the thumbnail, make a title that will make them interested and will reflect their own opinions. And don't get me wrong, I understand this is how the game has always been played. There's an old adage in Hollywood of one for me, one for you, or best to make a product that services both your needs as an artist and what the studio and the people buying the product want. But honestly, I'm sick of playing that game. I'm sick of trying to skirt that line and make videos that I feel are true to my visions, and also do the whole, like, hey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell, and support my Patreon. I need you to like me. I need you to desperately, like, oh gosh, if they don't like me, I won't be successful anymore, and then my life will be over. I am fucking sick of being beholden to all of that. And it is for that exact reason, and many, many more, that I am leaving. And if we want to talk about some more, how about the fact that even though I've been doing all that for nearly 12 years, it's gotten me fucking nowhere. Okay? The one big spike I had was in the 2 years when I made Megaforce Sucks, the Gokaiger video, and the Wizard video. Those were all within about a 2-year span, and that was a pretty successful time for my channel, but nothing since, because guess what? Those videos are kind of hard to make, and I didn't even want to be known specifically for making videos on those things anymore by the time I was done with them. I wanted to move on to other topics, other projects, other styles, because I realized that the best kind of artist is somebody who can weave in and out through mediums and styles. But YouTube doesn't respect that. YouTube is built off of the adage of just keep making the same thing over and over again. As long as it's successful, you'll stay successful. Except that's not how people fucking work. They grow and change and evolve, and their tastes and preferences change, and yet YouTube continues to push this narrative of, oh, if you got big off of making analysis video essay videos that are completely scripted without your face in them, just keep making those. Just keep making those, and just keep making them on the same franchise. Drive that fucking topic into the ground. Beat that horse until it is literally a bloody pulp, because that's the only way you'll be successful. But it's also the only way to be successful without being happy. And I mean, sure, I might get an influx of views and clicks for this video and the next two because they're so incendiary, but it's too little too late. Alright, the wheels are already in motion. The train's pulling out of the station, and I ran out of emergency brakes a long time ago. You know, I talked a lot in the last video about how I kind of grew up on this dream of growing up to be a successful YouTuber who had enough money to make ends meet and also feed his hobbies while talking about them on the internet. That dream that I have been chasing for almost 12 years now, that I've been chasing for so long that honestly I've kind of come to realize it's just that. It's a fucking fantasy. It's completely imaginary. It doesn't exist out there, at least not for me, because I have never even gotten close to that dream. I've never gotten an AdSense check because I've never had the views or the subscribers or the engagement to support getting an AdSense check. I've never had a huge amount of patrons that could make ends meet. I don't sell a lot of stuff on my merch store. I don't get sponsorships or brand deals. I don't get to appear at the Game Awards or at Hasbro PulseCon. I don't get to be in YouTube Rewind. I don't get to collab with the big boys. I don't get to interview industry people or jet set out to big premieres and hobnob into cool cities like LA and New York. I don't even get to be in some crappy Nickelodeon or Disney Channel original movie. And once again, let me remind you, I'm not trying to sit here and go, oh, woe is me for however long this video ends up being. But the fact that YouTube continues to pass over me and creators like me whose content actually has soul to it, who actually try to push themselves and go in new directions and make interesting stuff, and instead promotes and holds on high pandering ass clowns the world over, has been a continual source of frustration for me in recent years. Like, come on, you're seriously gonna tell me it's fair that we live in a timeline where Logan is a WWE champion and I'm not? That we live in a world where Jimmy is an idol of millions of children and Database Ranger isn't? That Trash Taste is one of the most popular group podcast channels in the history of this platform and Modular Media isn't? You're going to tell me that doesn't seriously make you sick, offended, and pissed off? I'm so continuously flabbergasted that I've been trying different versions of what I want to do here over and over again, trying to find something that'll work for the both of us. And yet, nothing significant has happened with this channel since about 2015. I've been stuck in a cycle all this time of continual, maybe this is a good idea. Maybe we'll do this for a little bit. It's not really working out. Let's pivot and try something else. And just over and over again, around and around we go. Where we stop, nobody knows. Except for me, because I'm the only one who can actually throw the lever and say, ride's over, all right? I'm going to go find another one because this one isn't fun anymore. I don't want to be on this ride anymore. And it's partially because of you people. All right, okay? No matter how much you're nodding your head right now and agreeing with all the stuff I say about this ridiculous platform we've all just agreed to use, you still haven't supported me enough. I still haven't gotten to where I've needed to be, and you're partially to blame for it, okay? No matter how much some of you come out of the woodwork over these last couple and next couple weeks to say, oh, it's so sad that Vac's retiring, I'm gonna miss him, you know, his Gokaiger or his Megaforce or his Wizard video, that really inspired me. I miss those days, man. Well, I've needed you big time since then, and you haven't come out, have you? Every video I put out this year has struggled in its first couple days, and only a few of them have gotten over 1,000 views, which sounds like a lot, but is only microscopic in terms of the grand scheme of YouTube, because there are so many fucking people using this platform now that literally an entire lifetime's worth of video gets uploaded every single day. Like, it's no fucking wonder I haven't become successful. I got into just about every genre on this platform shortly after it became popular, but just enough after that I couldn't really catch the wave. And now there's so many other people who are trying to do that, so many people who are so much better and smarter than I am, that it's just not worth doing anymore, because there's always going to be someone who's one step ahead of you. I would not recommend anyone get a YouTube account and seriously try and take on this job now, because it's a completely flooded market, okay? It's not even the only one that's like that, too. You know, people say like, oh, TikTok's gonna become the future. You should go over to TikTok and try to make videos exclusively for TikTok. Oh, yeah, the platform where the videos are so short, it's hard to convince advertisers to come over because you can't have a significant length ad in there, where there's constant thievery and plagiarism, where there's constant threat of it just being randomly taken away like Vine was only a few years ago. Oh, well, why don't you try becoming a Twitch streamer then? I actually listen to Components, and I know that you've been getting interested in video games over the last year finally, so why don't you try becoming a game streamer? Oh, yeah, I'd love to become a Twitch. I'd love to become a slave to Daddy Bezos like the rest of those nincompoops. I'd love to go on a platform where just having 10 viewers means I am in the top 10% of active channels on the website, because that's how many fucking active channels there are. And it's not just the actual content platforms. Like, I could go on a rant about Instagram or this or that or the other thing, but the fact of the matter is, even when you get outside of them, when you try and get into these ones that are specifically there, saying they're here to try and support creators and foster a better economy for us, those ones are just as corrupt and just as dangerous to get into bed with these days, all right? Everybody loves to build their whole career, their whole livelihood around Patreon, but that website has basically been trying to subtly turn itself into a social media platform since it came into existence, even though pretty much everybody who actually uses it basically thinks of it as a glorified banking service. And it's not even a good banking service, too. Like, I don't know if you actually keep up with what goes on with Patreon, but they regularly try to put the taxes onto the people who are actually pledging to their creators so that it's more expensive to do so, which would make it harder for people to be able to make that decision to financially back creators. Oh, and remember back when crypto was big? Patreon tried to become a crypto exclusive platform during that time, and the only reason they didn't and immediately fuck over just about every creator in existence was that the entire platform rebelled against the decision before it actually went into effect. You got the same kind of situation going on with OnlyFans too. I feel like it's every few months that I hear sex workers losing their mind over the fact that OnlyFans is once again trying to push them off of that platform because it's not good for advertisers. Even though literally everyone thinks of OnlyFans as the platform where you go to support sex workers. And even when I loop back around to the glass house that I'm currently throwing stones through, there's the simple fact that they recently made it way harder to get on with the partnership program, okay? I was actually briefly in with AdSense. I never had enough engagement to actually get a fucking check from it, but I was on with it for a few years until they changed the rules halfway through the pandemic to make it way harder to get in. Because, oh yeah, that's right, it costs money to run this platform, and YouTube only broke even for most of its life, and now it's actually making a profit. Sundar and Neil are going to do everything they can to protect that profit, even if it means bending over backwards to idiotic congressmen who want to pass laws that's going to make it all the more harder for us to make content, or getting into bed with the companies that are sponsoring those laws to make it okay for us to use music in our videos for just a little bit after years of saying that that was totally bad, because now TikTok's doing it. Hell, YouTube won't even police its own members when they're doing morally reprehensible and actually illegal shit. And if you don't believe me on that, you must be living under a rock, not paying attention to the SS Sniper Wolf and James Somerton situations that just blew up over the last couple months. No, YouTube is content to sit back, relax, and let us police ourselves, except when actual big companies get involved. Sure, they'll try to pretend like they give a crap and they want to offer actual resources to the little guy by establishing creator spaces, but they're not going to put them in places where people actually need help, like bumfuck Wyoming or some shit. No, they're going to be in the center of LA and New York and Chicago and London, where people who can already afford to make their videos as good as they need to be live. And the worst part is, while I can sit here and kick and scream and rant and rave all I want about all these problems, I can't actually try and do anything about them, because there's no union for people like me, okay? We all clapped and cheered for the writers and actors guilds during their recent strikes, and I have no ill will towards anyone who participated in that stuff. Get that bread, brothers and sisters. But at the same time, there just isn't a way for me to do that. I can't go to a union and tell them I'm having these problems and ask for support. There was briefly a creators guild during the 2010s, but it ended up folding because there wasn't enough support for it. And we've talked time and time again, as well as many other things, about Modular possibly becoming like that behind the scenes. One of the ideas behind that group initially was always that it could one day be this huge support group for creators of all mediums and platforms to get the fair and equitable treatment they deserve. But right now, we don't have the support to do that, and we don't have the traction to seem like we're going to get there anytime soon. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I am sick and tired of waiting for the one day. I need the better tomorrow today, and I am not going to get it here. Because the fact of the matter is, as much as I can throw every big name and executive under the bus in this video, they're not the ones in charge, alright? I am, you are, we are. The people are the ones who make change. It's been that way all throughout history, and yet we continue to refuse to. Even when opportunities are handed to us on a silver platter, everyone I know who works in and around this platform seems content to just be complacent. And as long as things continue on as they have, as long as the boat doesn't get rocked too hard, well, then that's just fine then. You know, I usually try and resist the idea that fandom culture is a cancer on our society, that, oh, our generation just can't put our toys away and we need to grow up. I usually really hate the kind of cynical bastards who spew that nonsense. But the fact of the matter is, it has kind of made us complacent, because for all we say we want to be a better people, that we're moving to a place of more emotional maturity and honesty as the generations continue to get more and more progressive over the last few decades. The fact that we're all still relying on fandom culture really does hold us back in some ways, because we continue to waste so much time arguing about this or that installment of this or that property, of chasing after the next little scrap of news, getting into as many little nooks and crannies of universes and leaks and behind the scenes and this and that and the other thing that proves that my opinion is the only true correct opinion, that we lose sight of the real issues that are facing not just us as creators, but our world in general. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but right now, on 3 separate continents, there are 3 separate attempted genocides taking place, and I don't see any of my fellow creators talking about that shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that one a little too spicy for you guys? You don't like foreign policy? You want to talk about something a little closer to home? Okay, how about the fact that we've had an ongoing homelessness crisis that's also contributing to a drug use epidemic that's just been in supercharge mode ever since the pandemic happened? Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole here. These are issues I genuinely care about and that actually keep me up some nights, but I don't really see that sentiment from anyone else, not here on YouTube, barely anywhere else on social media, and certainly not in the mainstream news media, where all they ever seem to care about is the continuing Orange Man escapades, whether or not somebody's actually going to be able to knock Grandpa Joe out of his rocking chair next year, or whatever kind of silly shit his goofy son is getting up to now. Because that's all that really matters, is the kind of goofy gossip column bullshit that gets ratings. Well, why should we, Vac? That's just gonna bum everybody out. The real world is scary. I don't want politics in my fiction. I need an escape from my real world. It's all too hard. I watch YouTube videos to unwind at the end of a hard work day. How dare you confront me with reality? Oh, give me a fucking break, you namby-pamby bitches. And before you type up your comment, let me be clear. You are allowed to take a break every once in a while if it gets too hard for you. That's one of the luxuries of living in an evolved society in the modern Western world, is that we can take a break every once in a while. But that doesn't mean you should turn your back on it permanently. You still have to acknowledge it. You still have to do the best you can to help out where you can, even if it's just giving a little bit of extra money in your paycheck to a charity that's gonna help out, and actually doing the fucking research to make sure that money will go to that charity and will go through that charity to the people who need it, instead of just sitting here and virtue signaling and saying, oh, we all have to give money because of the thing that's going on, and I'm going to set up my own private charity, which you may never actually be able to properly vet, but don't worry, I'll make sure the money gets into the right hands. And that doesn't even begin to describe the levels of depravity I have seen fan and collector culture stoop to in the last year alone, constantly harassing and badgering various creators and industry people on social media, trying to get answers to every stupid little question you can think of, and then blowing up at them when they give an answer that you don't like, only to then turn around and pretend that you're actually a huge fan of everything they've done when you interview them, and then pretend that the thing they've made is the best thing ever and you knew it was going to be good all along when it actually comes out. And don't think I'm stupid, don't think I'm simple, don't think I'm some kind of smooth-brained little goofy boy. I know exactly why folks do this. I'm not stupid enough to fall for the people are allowed to change their minds defense in this case, okay? I've seen it enough times to be able to know when it's bullshit and when it's not, and it is bullshit here. People doing this all the fucking time in our communities is Plain and simple hypocrisy. And it's here for the same reason it exists in the mainstream media. Because all the people who are being put on pedestals these days really care about is continuing to win brownie points and being able to stay in the club and up on those pedestals that they've worked so hard to step on everyone else to get. And that's just not media people. Let's not be remiss and actually mention the fact that the toy collecting community has gotten more disgustingly hedonistic and aggressive towards one another in the last couple years, constantly trying to one-up each other by leaking or reviewing something before anyone else can for the sake of clout, and displaying bigger and bigger collections. Oh dude, you can't just have a couple of shelves that you rotate in and out and you sell stuff to make room for more stuff to keep yourself financially stable and healthy. Nah bro, you gotta have a whole fucking room dedicated to your collection. Actually, strike that, you gotta have a whole fucking basement dedicated to it. No. You gotta have your collection spread all throughout your house. No, you gotta have a tiny house next to your actual house that's just for your collection. That's how much you need to have to be a cool collector like me and do the big awesome reviews that I get to do. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But when I grew up, when I was into superheroes and science fiction for the first time, when I was really digging my eyeballs into that shit for the first time and I was absorbing it, I really tried to take the lessons it was teaching me to heart. I really thought when I became an adult that I was going to be somebody who stood for something and did good in the world, even if the world was more complicated and messy that I could comprehend at that time. I thought I would try and make some change, and yet here I am stuck in this self-obsessed spiral of trying to find something that makes people who don't really matter to me at the end of the day happy. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to continue putting myself through hell for shit that's supposed to be trivial and fun and just a nice little distraction every once in a while. I love every property I've ever spoken about, even if I've spoken about it negatively. That comes from a place of love. But I don't want to continue to make my entire life and work and personality about those things, okay? Part of stepping away is that I need them to go back to being fun, and I need to focus on what's actually in front of me and doing the best I can to make the best world I can for the people I'm sharing that world with. And that's on you for making me that way. And that's on me for letting myself become that way. So maybe I'm just as big a problem as you guys are.